So can you tell me a little bit about yourself and your role in Pontio?
Yes, certainly. I'm James Goodman. I'm the Deputy Director of the Pontio project, and my role has been mainly around fundraising in the past, and now I'm getting more involved in terms of wider engagement of the project.
Okay, that's great. Can you tell us a little bit about the projects that you have going on in Pontio for the local community?
There's a lot that we wanted to do with the local community. Pontio means to bridge, and we've produced a brochure which contains a number of sections, as well as arts programmes. It's got a number of sections on community projects that we're doing, and we've done a number of things. So, for example, with the building project, we worked quite closely with the contractor so that they can work with local school children, for example, to use the site to show that you can have a career in construction. And they've worked with, for example, girls from Muscle Friars, one of the local secondary schools, to show them that there's some, just to expose the interesting things that are happening on site, and that went down extremely well. So, I mean, there's lots of things that are less visible. There's things that are very obviously visible, like the angel descending down the cathedral recently, where we had a Christmas parade, and we worked very, very closely with local community groups and young people, school children, primary school children, who made angels, which you can see possibly behind me in shot, and they paraded those with lights up to the cathedral. The Students' Union were involved, the student bands were involved, and so it was just an example of how Pontio can actually be that catalyst and that bridge between all the different activities that are taking place. So that's just a very small outline of some of the things that we're doing.
Yeah, you sound like you've been very busy with a lot of different projects going on.
Yeah, very, very busy.
Yeah. How do you think the local community have responded to Pontio? I know at one point Bangor had quite a few cinemas as well as Theatre Gwynedd, which is obviously where Pontio is being built. So do you think the local community were crying out for an arts innovation centre?
One of the interesting statistics is the number of people in Gwynedd who go to arts events, and it's very high, even in comparison with the rest of Wales. I can't remember the particular percentage, but it's a high level of interest from the local community in sort of going to arts events. And so, yeah, there's a demand here, and people are crying out. Now, behind the question is this notion that we're a city without a theatre and without a cinema. And I think from any perspective that's a difficult and regrettable thing. And Pontio, of course, aims to replace those things. There will be a separate cinema, a separate theatre, or two theatres, in fact, a large main theatre and a small studio theatre. And I think people they are crying out. We've had some difficulties at times because I think the university is being perceived as being part of the problem and not part of the solution, because we own the Theatre Gwynedd building and it came down, and so we've had this gap. Now we've run an arts programme, which I referred to earlier, which in fact is where the name Pontio came from, because Pontio means to bridge, and we wanted a bridge between the closing of the Theatre Gwynedd and the opening of the new theatre. But the new theatre will give us an opportunity to be far more, should we say, bold about what we do, and perhaps more visible and obvious. So there's a demand. We've also had to manage, as I said, some of the challenges of the gap that has emerged, and also to try and be relevant to all sections of the community, and to reach out and to perhaps those who wouldn't otherwise take up arts events, maybe those who think, well, that's not for me. I think that's will be one of our challenges, to make sure that we are accessible as well as putting on real high quality stuff in the centre.
Yeah, that's really good that you include in everyone, because it is about a community, so you don't just want to make it about certain groups. I like that you're expanding into everyone. That's
right. Well, our hope is that we will bring people in to that space, and because Pontio is more than a theatre and a cinema, good though those things are and important though they are, it's also a teaching space, it's also a place where innovation is going to happen. There's going to be a design studio, possibly the student radio station is going to be there. There'll be art spaces, there'll be cafes, and some leisure facilities. So it's actually a melting pot, really, where all sections of the community can come in and actually then begin to cross-fertilise ideas and get ideas about other things. So that's the hope, anyway.
I know there's been a few projects going on for children, such as planting the idea seeds in the foundations of Pontio, so that they would have some ideas about what would it grow into. And they had a pantomime which ran on the 7th to the 8th of January. But is there anything going on for youths or the adults of the local community?
One of the projects that we have done at that far end of the spectrum is a thing called Corneli Keith, which means hidden corners in English. And what that meant was, or what that involved, was a musician going into care homes with dementia sufferers and really just using music as a way to reach into the minds of those people. Mm-hmm. And it was quite profound, in fact, and a small film was made by one of the Bangor students, Ocean Rees, I think, Ocean Williams, I'm sorry, and he actually that little short film, which concentrated on one of the residents of the home, actually won a Welsh BAFTA award, which was really, really, really good. What we've done in a second round, or we're doing in a second round of that, is to bring in young people into the equation. So students from one of the local secondary schools, Ysgol Tryfan, are actually taking part. So you're beginning to cross intergenerational age gap. Now, why are we doing that? Well, it actually draws on some very strong research strengths of Bangor University. We have a dementia services unit in Bangor, which is doing some groundbreaking stuff in that whole area of how to work with sufferers and their carers and professionals in the field. So it's not being done in complete isolation, but it also involves the arts side, it involves the science side, it involves young people, it involves old people. So that's one particular project. We're working with Bangor Youth Group. Here they use the shop where we're doing this interview right now. They use this space for meetings. They're a group that have set up their own little cinema thing in a local cafe, and they've done that because frankly there was nothing much to do in Bangor for young people, and they were really bored. So they've taken that upon themselves. Now Pontio's been able to help a little bit by giving space, obviously, small amounts of money, but more importantly perhaps some kind of help and guidance on the technical side of that. So it's just, again, it's another way of being involved and getting involved locally. I would describe it as almost, if not, probably a unique project, certainly in Wales and maybe even in the UK, whereby you've got an arts centre, but you've also got a huge innovation space. There'll be student activities and student union rooms and facilities there, cafes and so on. And as I said, I see it as a melting pot. I see it as a place where what we're trying to do is to knock down the barriers between different areas. So rather than compartmentalising things into arts, science, business, whatever, we're actually trying to sort of make a place where people will come and meet. So you come to a theatre or a show, you come maybe as a family, but you also come possibly, maybe you're a local business person, maybe you start to then look and see what else the university is doing, because we'll have displays and digital artefacts up there, trying to bring the research of the university out into the open. And these are the kind of hopes, really, I suppose you might say.
Yeah. What are your definite hopes for Pontio in the future, do you think? It's quite an exciting project.
Well, I hope we pull it off, really, because I think it's brave. It's a brave project, and it's not without its risks, because what we are really about is bridging these gaps. As I said, it's also about changing ways of working. It's changing behaviours to work in new and imaginative ways. It's about not compartmentalising things. It's about what I call interdisciplinary working. So, the arts and the sciences working closely together. It's about bringing people up face to face with new experiences. It's also about as well as the university, if you like, coming out more into the public square. It's also about bringing the public into the university and demystifying it, so you're knocking down barriers. My hopes really for Pontio is that it does essentially what we're saying it's going to do on the tin, that is that it bridges, that it also kind of facilitates those interactions, and that actually the sum of what we get out of it is greater than all the individual bits and pieces. So I'm thinking about community engagement in the round here, not just thinking about one particular group of people. I'm thinking about all of our different communities that we have here, everything from our local Welsh and English speaking communities right through to our international visitors and those who are with us for a few years who come and pitch up. And there's lots of opportunity. I mean, masses of scope, thinking about cinemas, thinking about things like film festivals, themes, tying in with food and tying in with other experiences, digital experiences. There's so much to do.
That seems to be the overriding idea for me, that it's a bridge into Bangor, but not just for the students and the local community, everyone that's here to try and make it something and try and make a bigger project within Bangor, like you say, with the local businesses and the communities, and it's just all tying together so everyone can enjoy it and have something to do and feel like they're involved. It seems to be something for everyone.
Absolutely. It's where perhaps, if you like, again, some of those traditional barriers that have existed can actually be knocked down, where we discover that we have common interests, that there's arts programmes that are relevant for students and young people. Most of the people in Bangor, a lot of the young people are very much of a similar age and aspiration. They want to see things happening too. Yeah. So, you know, there's not a great deal of dissimilarity there, really. So, you know, it would be remiss of me not to say that the student body is incredibly important for Pontio to work with, you know, rather than to.
Yeah.
You know, and that actually that Pontio is there on behalf of the student body too. So it's very exciting.
Yeah.
And you know, you can think about. I talk too much, by the way. Sorry, you'll have to edit this. But, you know, thinking in terms of employability as well, and bringing employers together with students in that shared space is something that really excites me. You know, so.
Yeah, it's a very exciting project.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hope I might have managed to convey my enthusiasm.
Yeah, very much. Okay, well, thank you for talking to me. It's been wonderful getting to know more about Pontio.
Thank you for the time and thank you for the opportunity.
Oh, no problem.